Most people think avoidants shut down because they don't care or because they're choosing silence. From the outside, it looks cold, detached, like they're just checking out. But the truth is much more unsettling than that, and honestly, much harder to accept. Avoidant attachment doesn't mean someone avoids stress. It means they've lived inside stress for so long that their body learned to treat it as normal. So when pressure increases, even healthy pressure, their nervous system doesn't rise to meet it. It shuts parts of itself down automatically. This isn't a personality flaw. It's neurological survival. When a human lives under long-term stress like this, especially emotional stress that never fully releases, it often leads to something called chronic stress burnout or allostatic overload. And here's the part most people miss. Many avoidants don't even realize they're burned out. They don't wake up thinking, I'm overwhelmed. They wake up thinking, I just need to keep going. So they stay busy. They pack their schedule. They focus on work, projects, responsibilities, self-reliance, productivity. Staying occupied becomes a way to avoid slowing down enough to feel what their body has been carrying for years. Over time, that constant self-pressure quietly drains the nervous system. Burnout doesn't always look like collapse. For avoidance, it often looks like emotional flatness, brain fog, low motivation, disconnection, or a feeling of, I don't feel like myself anymore, but I don't know why. They may feel tired even when they're resting. They can feel numb even when good things are happening, easily overwhelmed by conversations that require emotional presence. And they don't connect it to stress, because stress has been their baseline for most of their life. Neurologically, here's what's happening. When stress is constant and unresolved, the brain stays in survival mode. The body keeps prioritizing threat management over connection. Over time, the areas of the brain responsible for emotional processing, language, empathy, and communication, especially the prefrontal cortex, start to downshift, not permanently, but temporarily offline when pressure is high. That's why burnout directly impacts communication. It's not that they don't want to talk. Their brain literally has reduced access to words, emotions, and relational clarity. So when an avoidant is burned out, conversations that require vulnerability can feel exhausting, confusing, or even threatening. They may struggle to explain themselves, articulate feelings, or respond in ways that make sense to their partner. It's one reason why they can't always answer text messages that involve answering questions or anything overly emotional, adding more stress. Inside, it feels like static, like everything is too much at once. And the fastest way their body knows how to regulate is to pull back, go quiet, or disconnect. This is why avoidants often cause their own burnout without realizing it. They overfunction, they overgive, they take on too much, they suppress emotions. They don't check in with themselves and just find someone or something to distract or numb out. And eventually, their system hits a limit. When that happens, shutdown isn't a choice. It's a biological response to overload. I can always tell because as a healed, fearful avoidant, I've been there before. Avoidant attachment style individuals are often carrying massive amounts of internal stress that they don't consciously register anymore. They go to work, they show up, they handle responsibilities, they look calm, steady, functional on the outside, but internally, their nervous system is already maxed out. Not because of you, but because this is how they learn to survive early in life. When someone grows up having to self-soothe, stay emotionally alert, or become independent too soon, Their body adapts by living in a low-grade stress response all the time. They don't experience it as stress. They experience it as baseline. So when you enter the picture and ask for emotional closeness, communication, reassurance, or clarity, you're not adding a little pressure. You're pushing a system that's already at its capacity threshold. And most avoidants don't understand this well enough to explain it to you. They might say they have a lot going on or that they're overwhelmed, but they usually can't articulate the deeper truth, that their body is shutting down automatically, preventing them from functioning relationally in that moment. Here's the part most people don't understand. When any human experiences more stress than the nervous system can tolerate, the brain shifts control, not to the thinking brain, not to logic or language or emotional processing. It hands the wheel to the survival brain. And once that happens, the body prioritizes safety over connection every single time. The areas responsible for communication, empathy, reasoning, and emotional access don't just feel shut down. They functionally go offline. That's why avoidants say things like, "I don't know what to say," "I can't think," "I need space," or "I'm overwhelmed." They're not lying. They're not being dramatic. Their system is flooded beyond what a human nervous system can handle. This is also why pushing harder almost always backfires. When you're anxious or activated, your instinct is to explain more, clarify more, ask more questions, seek reassurance, and increase communication. That makes perfect sense from your side. But to an avoidant nervous system, even calm communication can feel like chaos when they're already overwhelmed. And chaos doesn't create access. It creates shutdown. The more you push for connection in that moment, the more their system interprets danger, demand, and overload. So the brain does what it was trained to do. It disconnects. And this is important to hear. Avoidants aren't calm when they go quiet. Silence is not peace for them. Silence is containment. It's the only way their body knows how to lower internal pressure. That's why you often see this painful cycle repeat. You ask for clarity. They pull back. You explain more. They go quieter. You feel abandoned. They feel trapped. Both people are dysregulated, just in opposite directions. Now here's where people get stuck. Understanding this does not mean tolerating mistreatment. It does not mean staying in relationships where your needs are consistently unmet. It does not mean waiting forever, suppressing yourself, or shrinking to keep the peace. But it does explain why logic, reasoning, and healthy communication don't work during moments of high stress with avoidance. You're trying to communicate with a system that's offline. You cannot reason someone out of survival mode. This is also why avoidants often seem perfectly fine days or weeks later. Once their nervous system settles, once the internal pressure drops, once they're no longer flooded, the thinking brain comes back online. That's when they can reflect, feel guilt, miss you, want to explain, and even want to reconnect. And from the anxious side, that feels infuriating because you were ready to talk when it actually mattered. But timing is everything with a dysregulated nervous system. Here's the hard truth most people don't want to hear. You cannot heal an avoidant by being more patient. You cannot love them out of shutdown. You cannot communicate harder and expect access. You can't overgive, overextend, buy affection, offer endless understanding, or bend yourself into emotional knots hoping it will finally make them feel safe enough to stay open. And you shouldn't have to. The only thing that changes this pattern is nervous system healing on their side, and on your side, learning when to stop pushing and start protecting your own emotional safety. So if you're dealing with an avoidant who shuts down when things get intense, ask yourself this. Are you trying to get connection from someone whose system is overwhelmed? Or are you honoring what you need, regardless of whether they can meet it? Understanding their shutdown gives you clarity, not obligation. And that clarity is what helps you stop personalizing silence that was never about rejection. True avoidants don't shut down because they don't care about you. They shut down because their body learned that connection equals danger. And until that wiring is healed, pressure won't create closeness. It will create silence. If this explains something you've been blaming yourself for, you're not alone, and you're not imagining it. I'm here to help you understand avoidant attachment more clearly. If this helped you, like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.